Hello, 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 hello. Happy and bright 2022 for we all. We don't come again today. Now, we very first day this will come for the new year. We don't come. Viewers in our social media review. But I want to say we get two parts to this. We regular social media review broadcast will come after this. This is a very, very, very special interview. We'll get with one of the big people there in this community also. Before I even begin, I don't lay out the template. Una remember waiting John Kennedy talk January 20, 1961, where he say let people in America let them not ask waiting America go do for them. But now waiting then go do for America. But we'll get for talk about that. But what I want to do first, I want to bring the co-host now, Mr. Shilon for say I'll do. The way don't say I do that, I will bring we guest of honor now today. Way in the major topic now, I will introduce them. They'll go start the ball on it. Mr. Shilon, I mean Daniel to the people there, sir.
Hello. I'm Mr. Shilon calling from or talking to now from North Carolina. Happy New Year to everybody. As Mr. Kutubu indicates, I'm a co-host on this show. So I was, as a matter of fact, I started off right on time, but you people couldn't hear me, so I don't know what will be the problem. So I keep trying to get my voice across, which successfully I've been able to do. So hopefully, as usual, this now a program will involve a lot of ideas, exchanges of views, questions and answers, live show. So I hope we will be able to make this a successful one. And this is not the first show of the year. So welcome everybody. And I hope we'll make this a very interesting show. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, we got today now Mr. Fasuku or Gaskin, Sengo Fasuku. Now one of the big people there in this community, now man, where you talk about education, you get a work. Where you get cosmopolitan experience, you get a work. Where you talk about integrity, honesty, patriotism, content. John the Carton and Kennedy be talk say January 20, 1961, let anybody not ask, waiting, America go with you. Waiting this man don't do it in colleagues them, we all are graduates of Jaiama secondary school, when they past people there. They don't decide, say then they give back, education, the quality education where they get from, that place. Because that education where they get 9, they not take camp overseas. 9 don't, give them all this, they don't come, the foundation where they build under, they don't come improve. For example, Mr. Gaskin, he holds a master's degree. After Howard, he go mainland U, they get a very good job now the court system. So we come along, he not part of it. So this make them more even honest in all they say. But what they don't decide for quality education we under. And as a matter for as we talk, God will then go display the things the way God mean it. So Mr. Fasuku, welcome to the show, sir. And give a little background of this thing, this project, and what are the reasons on the uncertainty, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kroma. I appreciate what you do for the community and what you do for JOSA. Well, JOSA USA chapter is an umbrella organization for JOSA whole. We go main headquarters in a salon, where the chairman is Mr. Jumu, and we get another branch in the UK, where the chairman is Mr. Tondone. In the US, we have me as the chairman, but I work with an executive and a team. Believe it or not, we started with 70 members, but the actual people who are really committed to this project now about 28. And I came to you, Mr. Kudubu, for make you give the word out there to the public for let them donate, because now we have a track record. There were naysayers where they may say, oh, this cannot be done, it cannot be done. We don't refurbish 2 buildings. And I gave you a step-by-step of the progress of all the people. So I cannot do this. I'm just the chairman, but I have a team behind me. And if you don't mind, I'd like to. We have a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army. He is our treasurer, and his name is Dr. Dauda. He's based in Alabama. Then we have a general secretary, Josephine Sandy, in Maryland. We have another financial secretary, Mrs. Mabel Bayo, in Maryland. And then you have me as chairman. We also have pointers, people that where they really, really do work. We have Miss Nakroma within Texas. As you see that tractor trailer bringing the Sansan for let them can't do the work. There you go. She did that in August on her own. It wasn't just her money. That was our money. So we have an Amaturi in Minnesota. She collected over $1,800. So we have women in this chapter where they really, really do the work. Then we have Jane Sandy in Atlanta. So we have been able to refurbish. We became a 501c. We are also state certified charity organization, and we have a bank account. So at the camp, because the community been done rally, we have a lot of community members who then contribute towards this project. Andrews Bakima, Mr. Duba, Tiafwe, Sama Monde, Tambakomba, Yebona, a whole slew of people, and even Nigerians and other Africans have been contributing towards this project because they know what we stand for. And if you want a nutshell, this is what we've been doing. And I thank you for your listening audience. Let them take the word to other people. Let them try to contribute, because what we are doing, just like he said, Kennedy said, don't ask what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Some of us went to that school from 1 to from 5, and I stayed in the boarding school. That's where I did my growing. And people where they laid that foundation. There is one teacher who just passed away, the great Cecil Hansen. He was a mayor in Bo. Then the came body go. So rest in peace, Cecil. And when they do your work. So those are the people that laid our foundation. And we are trying to make sure that their struggles didn't go in vain. After I move out of this year, another Joseph member is going to come. But we are very grateful to your organization and Kutubu for that matter. You have known me for years. You know that I don't do anything that is beyond. I cannot do anything outside the law. I have to do everything within the law. So we are 501c. We are state certified. So if your tax deductible amount will come to you in letter. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Mr. Shidon, you can pursue some debutante.
Well, no, just a few questions.
Yes.
You said Jaiama. So when maybe they school, I know a lot of things that change. There were two Jaiamas, Nimikoro and Swathe. Am I right or wrong?
You're correct.
Okay, so which Jaiama is this?
Well, there was only one secondary school built by the American missionaries, and that was Jaiama Nimikoro.
Okay, that was in the 70s because I was already probably in the United States, so I know.
No, it was built in the 60s, but I came later. There were students ahead of me.
Okay.
But it has trained a lot of specialists. Yes.
Well, I give kudos to every one of us who have managed to come abroad and have not forgotten home and still maintain ties, not only in terms of ordinary contact, but substantive contact. Substantive in the sense that we are making meaningful contribution to the community and to the people, because the best feedback now forgive both structural help to we respective neighborhoods and schools, then we will go and try for do the best we can for bring them up to par. Now, that said, of course, me always give me your idea, but ideas we apply to one school, apply to all. And so in that respect, I was just looking at the fact that they're going to refurbish the school too. So it's not only the school that they help, but they create employment in the sense that when I get people that are skilled laborers, such as carpenters, such as masoners, when they employ, and then also when they contribute to the economy of the area, because when I get for go either Konode or Kenema for buy materials, all of that helps to the economy. So I appreciate the fact that every time we all do this for schools, them we're doing a lot. But let me just also emphasize that we know hand in hand goes the quality of education too. So as much as we try for improve the physical environment of the schools, because the environment of learning has to be conducive to learning. So which calls for all the restructuring we want to do. But I will hope also we take into account the intellectual aspect of the whole process. There are some ideas, and which some of we can start an aya, because with technology being what it is, we're all able to improve the school STEM quality of education by teaching from abroad. Those of us who have specialty in certain subjects, like physics, like chemistry, like English literature, former teachers who are now retired, they can do like what you may you to do so. We're not in the same city, we're not in the same, there are distances among us. If we can do it among ourselves sitting here, we can do it for the kids. So, and for me, that goes towards helping the disadvantaged children who are in the vast majority, not only in the majority, but they're in the vast majority. Those kids need to do well at national exams. Those kids, they're not coming from a family where their parents can afford private tutoring. So what do? If we go begin for organize ourselves abroad for begin give lessons, back home when exam they come, many students sit them before a computer or something, and somebody give lectures in physics or try to help them for cover and syllabus without regard to your financial background. I think that will help the picking there, particularly the disadvantaged, the one that we come on a poor family, because I'm always concerned about poor family. By way of standard, I was raised in a middle class family, and it looked like Mr. Fasuku also was, because he they boarding school. We share that commonality. Abide Amadi and Abo. I was in a boarding school from elementary, from standard 1 or standard 2 to from 5. So I know boarding school living. I know what it means. And with me on term, it was not, by way on income standard, it was not easy for them about in school. Your parents can get for be able for really pay that about in school fee. But every time I look back, I think everybody forget equal access. So to education, and for we were there abroad, we should be more than happy. And for people like you now, Mr. Fasuku, I give you a lot of credit, because for me, I'm one of them people who get ideas, but I don't have the time to put them into effect. But everybody get their own specialization. So the one that will get the time for utilize for the development of the community of everything, I say kudos to her. So Mr. Fasuku, it's a pleasure meeting you, and I hope you all continue the good work, because I think you're setting a good example for the rest of us.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
May I respond?
Address that, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
First of all, I want to thank you. They say honorable minds never keep to their lives. You mentioned things that we have already discussed. Personally, I'm from Sando Chiefdom, Kaima, to be specific. I have personally developed a library in my hometown. And you can just imagine having a library that is technology based, so that we implement the same ideas you're talking about, sir. So back to Jaiama, when we finish all our refurbishing projects, the libraries are going to be fixed, the laboratories are going to be fixed, and we're going to have a global classroom, a global classroom that is going to help implement the same ideas you're just alluding to. And I really appreciate that. And furthermore, I want to emphasize, if you have ideas that we can implement, just say usacanada@gmail.com is our email. And we also have The man that holds this together is the financial secretary. I don't touch money. Now, if you want to donate, you give me the check. It goes directly to the financial secretary, Dr. Dauda. And we have a bank account that is based in Maryland. Whatever he tells me, that's what I do. So I appreciate your question and thank you very much.
You're
Okay.
quite welcome.
Now, Mr. Suku, may you know that this community are too long. We get a proliferation of organizations there. But the problem we get now, lack of transparency, accountability, and this may not eat into the fabric of things to the extent most of these organizations are not collapse, all because of corruption, financial corruption. Waiting at the mechanisms and way they in place with this tier owner they do so, we will make sure say they kind of decadence and escapism no go find a way inside your own organization, sir.
That's a very good question because when people give their money to any organization, I, for one, I donate to a lot of organizations here. But when I find out that they are not going the right way, I withdraw my donations. Just like USA Canada has a full team. I'm not running for any position in Sierra Leone, neither any of my executive members. Our motto is strive for truth and stand for right. Whatever penny somebody donates to this organization will be accounted for, or we will fully refund your money. And if you request an accounting of the money we collect and how we spend it, I can submit that to you tonight. That's how transparent we are. The money doesn't come to me, it goes to the treasurer, the financial secretary and the treasurer. And the treasurer is based in Alabama. He's in the US, he's a lieutenant colonel in the US Army. And he's not going to do anything that is beyond what is being rampant in this community. So that's a very good question. But the question also came up when we started this organization. I know your show got calls from people that said, "Oh, this is another organization that is trying to dupe people." Our track record is now there. Within a year and 6 months, we've been able to refurbish 2 buildings. And to back to the lawyer's point is we have been able to do that by hiring labor that is in the local, so that when these buildings when there is a problem with the project, the contractor will come and do amends. That's how transparent we are. Thank you very much.
Mr. Shilo?
Yeah. And like I said, kudos to you, Mr. Fasuku. That's a great job. But let me just, by way of ideas, because you people have come a long way without my input, so I'm sure you guys have all the sound mind for make decision, but we never can get enough or all of it. What experience has taught me based along the line of what Mr. Kutubu say and you say? Let me just use me in relation to organizations in this country. Once upon a time, in the early 90s, I started an organization called Organization of Sierra Leonean Lawyers in the United States. And this was an organization open to, you don't have to be born in Sierra Leone, but if you are a descendant of a Sierra Leonean who migrated to this country or immigrated to this country, you are welcome to join, and we'll get a large following from New Jersey to California to Alabama to Georgia. You name it, we had quite a membership. And I don't know whether I want to structure that, but what we do, we proceed in good faith with each other, believing that everybody has a deep sense of integrity and that people, having lived in the United States, that will get a maturity to run any organization involving money with the most or the highest degree of honesty. This is a group of Sierra Leonean lawyers here now. And this is the argument I always make. it's not. It doesn't stand to reason that because we don't deny, I will go back home. And Canada would see back home over and over. Why corruption not done? Part of it. People and they take you for granted. Oh, the man be there America. They America 50 years. So make a minister of finance. Make a minister of this. That is not enough. They're going to well would live Niagara integrity. And sometimes some of we are okay. I can compare we to like a thief who goes to a shopping center, has no intention of really, or somebody will get propensity to steal. But he go to a shopping center, not with intention of stealing, for do genuine shopping. But as he walks by a car, he sees a computer in the back seat. He looks around, nobody's looking. He checks the car door no lock. That right there, he goes for it, open the door. He'll not be going for good if anything, but you see opportunity, take advantage of it. So what I'm saying is, where they form the organization here, let will not create an opportunity for a weak-minded person for do something where he otherwise not be get any intention of doing, but because you get responsibility, it take undue advantage of the responsibility. Because it happened to us with the lawyers. We had a brother, we trust, we met in Washington, D.C. all the time. We had raised over $20,000 at the time. But I find that looking back, every time we meet, we say, okay, tell me how much we get now. Just let me know what you get. You go always tell we say, well, I be go some meeting this today. I not go get time for going to host, for go get the book. So I really can't tell now, but I think say we get roughly such and such. It happened over and over and over and over. Eventually, and this is a lawyer. Now, yeah, one of our young colleagues, it turned out that he had misused the money. He don't misuse the money, so he always was making excuses. And so at the end of the day, what he would do, what we'll find out, we can always, because I was the president, so we can always put together a luncheon or a breakfast or breakfast and luncheon. So we get a Australian gentleman, we can always, who ran a restaurant in the Maryland area, we can always make arrangement with for can provide food for we. And he can give we buffet lunch at a very cheap price. So I instruct the person in charge. Now we organization, we're in charge of the money. I say, write that man there. It was a small amount, like $350. I say, yeah, don't forget for getting check for the lunch we provide for we. Then I tell the Australian who provide the lunch, I say, just ask him for a check. But when the gentleman go to him for a check, surprisingly, for something less than 350, he said to him, okay, I'll write you the check, but no cash until next Wednesday. About that time, we were supposed to have $20,000 or $25,000 on hold. So the guy came back. He say, well, Mr. Shillon, Susan, so you man say, should I not cash this check? I say, what? You know, cash the check? Then things begin to go downhill. But that's because we trusted this gentleman. He was a lawyer. People thought very highly of him. But we as lawyers not do with due diligence for inject into the structure checks and balances. So checks and balances are important, regardless of what. If me join an organization, I will fight like hell for make una say, hey, look, I don't want to be the only person in charge of money. I want to create a committee. I want 2-3 signatures because I una need that. Also, because even if you're entrust to one man, what happens if he suddenly dies or he get a stroke? They will not get a problem. So this is a way of suggestion, because that's what me don't learn from being here, being in an organization that should know better. The same organization of lawyers, we also had another lawyer who were trying to work with the lawyers back home, attending computers, these things were new stuff. So we say, well, the law school back home don't get computers. They don't get this, they don't get that. Let us help them with technology. We decide for buy computers and this and that. This gentleman we say, in the ship containers back home. Another lawyer from another state, Sierra Leone, in the cheap computers back home. He says, so then computer, what would they talk about? When I give me, I go deliver them. Say, okay. I even suggested that no, don't deliver it until you contact 2-3 news agencies so they can see what you would do. Well, those computers, as I'm speaking to you over 20 years, have still not arrived. Okay? That's another lawyer, one of us. But you will not think they will stoop that low, but it happens. You'll be amazed because you see, integrity, regardless of how high you've gone in society, you have to have it in you. It's a quality where you get for noticing a major component of your persona. And some people don't realize that. And so we leave it behind, we get with a hang on just the PhD, the master's degree, but it takes more than that. Goes with those qualifications is the simple thing called integrity. If you lack that, I mean, there's a saying, with integrity, nothing matters. Without integrity, nothing matters. Because if you not get them either way, I mean, people can't count on you because you're capable of doing anything, anytime. So I just suggest that this. I'm sure.
No.
Right.
All the points, all the points you're making, Mr. Shalom, they are right on target. They are right on target. But our budget has been over $36,000, and every penny is accounted for. I can put my life on the line for this. The gentleman that handles our money, the Lieutenant Colonel in the U.S. Army, is trustworthy. That's why we have 3 people whose signature are on the money, and nothing gets spent unless we have an emergency executive meeting. So the question, the issue of integrity, you brought it up. We had a few issues like that. That's why we had about 70 members, and we narrowed it down to 28. So the work you're seeing is being done by 28 people and the community at large, because they contributed too. So we have 3 people that are signing up our checks, and we have spent over $36,000 in those 2 projects. So you're welcome to audit. I will encourage anybody that contributes to call the treasurer to ask him. In fact, we're going to send letters this month to all the people who donated any amount to this organization will be accounted for. So I know what you mean. We have even suffered for that, but we are on the right track. We are on the right track.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Asuku. Now, although in Jaiama this year, but with this kind of incentive one, I don't think so, because the thing is, and then people are one at the education that the future leaders in now at the education that you want. How now you go able to spread this there beyond just yonder and make sure that every corner person be part and parcel of this, because everything get leadership, we not understand leadership. So when the appeal now we are because I really want to address that to the entire corner citizen, everybody within a corner that waiting there and they in their own benefit, because one of them student them one of the help so for give quality education, it will be a leader tomorrow. So waiting at the appeal we get for Gideon also.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kurugu. I start out with myself. According to Mr. Shalom, he come on a middle class, where me come on a chief family, Fasuku, Yugoyeri, about that in Kono. But can you imagine the Kennedys without money? Well, that's us. But I was fortunate to go to Jaiama, and I did well. And the results I obtained from Jaiama allowed me, I didn't even have to take any exam at Howard. They accepted me. So the whole Kono community is on board. I'm in touch with the paramount chiefs. Jaiama Nimiko is our proof of concept. Once that works and we have modalities in place, we can duplicate. It will be a question of duplicating it in all those other chiefdoms where there are secondary schools. So like Mr. Shalom said, we have plans for our libraries. We are right now, as we speak, I'm talking to the paramount chief in Nimiko. He is helping us with a caterpillar to go and bulldoze all the land so that it can be leveled. So we have a lot of work ahead of us. That's why I'm coming here today. as a messenger of Josa to appeal to the community to please help us. You know, that school was the only secondary school in Kono district, the first secondary school in Kono district. And it was used by the rebel, and all the buildings were destroyed. So gradually we are not waiting for the government. If the government comes, the Ministry of Education or government comes and say, well, you guys are doing a good job, let's help you with this boarding building or 2 or 3 buildings, we'll be more than happy to welcome them. But for now, we are not going to sit down and wait for any government. We are going to galvanize the community. We're going to galvanize the committed members, the 28 that have been doing a marvelous job from California to Minnesota to Atlanta to Alabama. We appreciate all their effort. I hope I'm answering your question. I have a tendency of getting emotional about this because Jaiama is the place where I grew up. Even though I came from a chief home, but I grew up in Jaiama. So I grew up with the Peace Corps. So I have a personal feeling, and I feel it to my bone because teachers like Sisilansi, who is there today, was not my friend. He was my teacher. But these are the people that laid our foundation for what we are doing today.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sheila?
You're muted. You're muted. We can't hear.
Sorry. Kudos to you, Mr. Fasuku, and I hope we'll continue that trajectory there, because that's the right thing. It's a good example for almost every other school, because we need that. We need people. We not forget the homeland. We need people. We can't leave everything to government for do. And what would they try for improve the school here? Make sure, say, like you say, a library is an extraordinarily important thing on a campus, you know, and just opening a library alone, I mean, it's an enormous contribution to the education of the community. So, I mean, I give them a lot of credit. Now they do the right thing, and I hope some other schools then, when they listen to this show, they say could think of something. But also, what you are saying is not strange. Normally, now very few people go get the time and the interest and the sense of direction for move an entire idea into reality. So I'm not surprised when you say 70 people, it reduced to 28. It's always that way. Even meetings. If you call a meeting, you will get 100 members until 10 or 9 go show up. Now 10 or 9 go feel say that meeting they important than any other thing. So mine they just not feel like it. They home, they watch TV, they watch football or something that important to them than coming to voting good for the community. So I know the feeling, but then 2 people and then I for continue for encourage them and continue for make them know what a major contribution and they make, and we'll pass that into the next generation. Because like Mr. Kutubu say, all of us, it shouldn't matter which school you went to. And those who have these crazy ideas back home, that you should have gone to grammar school or board school or CKC or this and that, every school produces very smart people. Good people come from everywhere. Now we duty for encourage and help every school, because how do we know that the next president or the next attorney general or the next chief justice may not be somebody from your school? So if we not give them the nutrients when they need now, waiting then take go there, it will affect we all. President Bio is the president of Australia, and not go all the schools, then one school they go, but in a president. So NIMEC is in our best interest for encourage every school, every alumnus of any school, and it's all in our collective best interest for there we encourage people like Una and any other group where they try to do something back home. You know, as you begin for Lucam, oh, na kono, oh, na this, then you're missing the point. Because at the end of the day, what every one of these people do touches the lives of everybody. If you're not Minister of Health, you are not Minister of Health for members of the school where you go. You're not Minister of Health for the people, the chiefdom where you born or the district where you come out. You're a Minister of Health for everybody, regardless of which school they go. So we are trying to encourage, educate, equipped future leaders who are going to have effect on the lives of everybody. So in that sense, your school, I look at it as my school. Anything that I can do to encourage and to help, I'll be more than happy to, because now it's for all of us. It's for our benefit, not me necessarily. I'm much older. I'm not going to get the benefit, but we have to look, we have to pass the torch to the next generation, and this is the sense behind it. It's like running a relay. If when you for run, you begin for waka, well, by the time you pass the torch, your school will be way behind. So you guys are doing the thing, you're running a good race, and you want to make sure, say, the persons to whom the torches are going to be passed have been well trained to handle it and even run faster than when I will get in the touch. So you are my man, and our school, God bless you all.
Thank you. Mr. Fasuku,
Yes.
the next question we I get for all this is actually border again on the right. You don't spend considerable time under the penumbra of this and the culture of this country. God don't give good education, you get a very good job. But the question I get, we also I think say will tend for go to us the education means why is that with all the values that we don't inculcate in this country? Why is it when we go home back, we get jobs, we get opportunities? Why we not they put it here, what you don't get from them kind of place here for help the country go before? Rather, we'll go with the make we not ever then a place outside, order, structure and system here. And we know they give the better example. What do you think say actually responsible for that, and how we address that kind of a nightmare there? And you don't consider judgment and candid opinion as soon as they care quality education go at that place.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kutubu. Let me go just piggyback with Mr. Shellon's point. I've always said what we are doing in Jaiama is a political endeavor. Anybody can belong to, we have people from all parties donating. The other thing is education, the way I look at it, education is one of the few endeavors, human endeavors, when you divide, it multiplies or exponentiates. If you teach somebody today for do something, instead go teach somebody, it multiplies. Our objective is posterity. Now, back to your point, we can get all their ideas then. Where would the land now? But if the opportunities are not there, and if the opportunities arise, then you go and people start undermining you. How are you going to be able? I mean, I used to produce a newsletter here. You know that very well. And what few people read it to give me, other than you, Kutubu, and a few other people that I went to Howard with. Few people read it, but they just passed judgment. So the Kono mindset, in fact, at one point they came after you too, Mr. Kutubu, and I stuck my neck out there for you, that you're supposed to speak because you are doing what other people are doing in their living room. So the point I'm making is that we need to have not only a setup where we can go back home and implement those things, but we have to have a fertile ground to allow that to happen. You can't go, if you go with ideas and they are not supporting, the government is not supporting you, or you don't have people like the president of Sierra Leone who is educational minded, and I'm glad that they are going to build that university in Kono. And I always talk to the wife, by the way, was born in Peima. Very few people know that. She is more Kono than most Kono people can talk. So I always write my articles, and I tell, when you go to bed with your husband, please pillow talk your husband to finish that university, because it means a lot to us. It means a lot to us, and it means a lot to posterity. We need to have a working mechanism where if we take our ideas, we learn all these things. What I do on my job, I can do it in Sierra Leone. But I have to be encouraged to do that. I'm an economist by training. What's the opportunity cost of me leaving what I'm doing right now to go and do what I'm doing in Sierra Leone? Suppose they consider me as a radical. What happens? They will eliminate me before I even know it. So we need to set grounds up in as much as we talk about, oh, why is there a brain drain? No, but people who have sacrificed, like a gentleman that did medical, went home to help the Ebola victims. And Kudubu, you made mention of his name, and he died there. So when people see that, when people see that, it's not very encouraging. Look at Mr. Shellon talking about law student. And for your information, Mr. Shellon, authenticity is not equivalent to degrees. You can have a zillion of them. If you're not authentic, integrity is out of the door. So we have to look for people who have like minds and who are ready to commit. Another thing, we have 70 members who went to Jaiama Secondary School, and we told them the necessary condition is for you to belong. There are 3 types of membership: honorary member, and you have to go to Jaiama Secondary School, and those philanthropists. And we said the necessary condition is for you to register. Registration is $50. We gave them 1 year, 6 months, and they never did. So the executive met, we took it to the General Assembly, and they said we need to move them out. We took all of them. We deleted 45 people out of it. And they are still welcome to come, but they have to register. They have to show the intent of our motto, which is strive for truth and stand for right. And the other day, the treasurer was saying we need to go back and revisit it to make sure everybody paid their registration. If you don't pay, we have to take you out. We mean business, Mr. Kudubu. We mean business. We have spent over $36,000, and we have hired local authorities. The university is going to be used as a linkage. The Jaiama Secondary School is going to be one of the schools that will feed the university that is coming up. What happens if a university gets built in Kono and we don't have the manpower, the know-how to support the university? It would just be a university by name, but other nationalities, we have to maintain that university. So that's my area. When you ask the question, how are we going to duplicate? Let's create an environment where those ideas can come and flourish and thrive.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Shula, what I want to do, because I mean we get limited, so I want to give this opportunity. That you in closing remarks, because say social media review they can't follow very shortly. So since our guests now get the opportunity, let me make a broad appeal to every connect person. Don't let don't put that and let and understand. So this not to think, not to for can promote Mr. Suku. No. This now it promote the moral profile of Kono. Because like he correctly said, educating one student here that we don't know what now one student will be tomorrow. So one get this opportunity and let it give we in closing remarks in such a way that it will appeal to the calculus of every corner person where they outside corner, not to only America or Canada, everywhere. Let everybody join and care, including the politicians. So, Mr. Asa, use that as your closing remarks for making a broad statement about that, sir.
If I may interrupt,
again,
Mr.
Okay.
If I may interrupt you, sir, before you just say that, I want for make in your closing take into account, because the country has a history. And one thing that Kono is renowned for is the fact that we don't produce so many educated people from that area. It's supposedly the richest area in the country. But on the balance sheet, you being an economist, the people are one of the poorest in the country. So you have to put that in context that people understand. Like the Bible said, to whom much is given, much is expected. So it's time for Kono people then. And I don't have to be a Kono. I'm part of Sierra Leonean. So watching good for Kono, good for me. But I just wanted to put that in context that people understand that even if Kono get more than one high school, it is in the interest of Kono primarily and the country that you go beyond your own secondary school, you go and contribute to this Jaiama school. And even if you're not, even if you're from Kono and you never attended that school, it is still in your best interest if you go any other secondary school in the country. It is in primary interest of Kono and the country to contribute. Because people sometimes you need for dissect then here for people and for grasp the importance of some of them, because some people will just write it off, say, why don't to that school I go? So what? I don't get for contribute. They need for understand, say, you for take pride in the area you come out, you for take pride in the community, you for take pride in your nationality. So with that said, this is just for add to what Mr. Kutubu wants you for deal with, make the people back home understand that it's important to all and to primarily to any Kono person for say, look, that would chiefdom there or that would district there for a long time would produce the most, but would get the least. So now we need for come together when people can go Kono and say, oh wow, this is the Kono. Oh, we can see say this is the richest they come out. But it take determination, it take planning, it take vision for achieve that goal there. That's all.
Yes, you're quite right. I thank you for having me. And Mr. Kudubu, I hope you have me sometime again on some other topic. But I don't want to sound political here because this is an apolitical organization and I want to stay up to the point. When we had the issue of the university voting, and people, some of the Konom parliamentarians walked out, I wrote an article about that. You read that, Mr. Kudubu?
I did.
Yes. I will be the last person to leave that hall if anything is going to be discussed about Kono. I don't have to benefit anything. I don't think there's going to be much that my area can add to what I've done for myself right now. I don't think so. But I'm more determined to make sure that Kono has her own share of the bounties that come out of Kono. The problem is leadership has to play a role. And leadership doesn't mean we all follow you like lackeys. We need to be determined to make sure what is good for the whole entire Kono district. There should be no fighting about when they say, let's talk about Kono. I will sit right there until you tell me to go. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect we have to think as Konos in the 14 chiefdoms, I appeal to the chiefs, I appeal to every Kono man. Whether you went to Jaiama or not, that's your area they are contributing. And I bring a particular person up who was born in Jaiama but never went to Jaiama Secondary School. And I called her and she said, Mr. Fasuku, I didn't go to Jaiama. I said, that's not the point. You're missing the point. If that's what you're going to hold the wrong end of the stick. Just to echo back on Mr. Shellon's point. If you will decide to develop Kono, it's for posterity. We don't expect the kids to be uneducated. What did Mandela say? You don't have to have bombs to go bomb a whole nation. All you have to do is spoil their schools. And what the ripple effect? You have the wrong lawyers, you have the wrong doctors who will kill people in their numbers. You have wrong specialists in anything who will do anything for the buck. So where are we going to go? Where is Kono going to be? We have money. The bread basket of Sierra Leone has no bread to show. What does that tell us? So we must be doing something wrong. And insanity is defined as doing the same thing and expecting a different result. We can't do that no more. We need to stand out and say we're going to do this, and this is where we're going to start. That Jaiama Secondary School is going to be our proof of concept. Whatever we do there is going to be duplicated in other places. I hope I answered all your questions. And to the general public, to the Konos, Babu Nwinte, Mfamu Fasuku Kaima, Bekan Jaiama Secondary School Wakuyendo. Niye finga song. Sajumu was a salon. Combatant London, Bembine. Nia pingo fi mason ndima kwe ni school ja tayo ma school ne wingweka mfamu for school kaima. Thank you very much.
Well, Mr. Fasuku, I would like to thank you so much for honoring our invitation. Rest assured, I will again, with the approval of my colleagues, will bring you again to have more of this discussion, because these are the only things that will promote the profile of what you're doing. Exposures like this, appealing to the calculus of the the other guys sitting there. So until the next time around, I will, as a matter of fact, I will make it a point of duty to make sure you have this link of this broadcast, so you can distribute it wide and far, so that others will hear. I make sure you get it. So until then, sir, you have a very lovely day, sir.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.